Hi everyone and welcome to the Raw Show with Michael McDonald, and I have a very special guest. We have Melody Spencer with us today. Melody, thank you for being on the show.
Hey guys, hey, thanks so much.
Melody is a digital marketing strategist, consultant, and Facebook ad specialist for soul-focused, high-vibe female entrepreneurs and coaches from Wilmington, I think that's right, from
Yeah,
Wilmington
well,
in the United States. She's
mhm.
been working in the digital marketing industry for over 7 years and loves helping female business owners learn to utilize Facebook ads to find their soulmate clients and to create a strategic digital marketing plan that rocks. All right, we will definitely dive into Facebook ads. That seems to be something that's quite unpopular on this show in particular. But I thought we'd start with your background, if that's okay, Melody. So would you be able to share with me and my listeners where you were born and what it was like for you growing up?
Sure. So I was born in the United States, in Florida, in Gainesville, Florida, and I actually had a pretty different birth story. I was a premature baby, so I was born um, 3 months early, and I was a pound 10 ounces when I was born. So
Wow.
I was teeny tiny. They basically told my mom that I was going to die and that there was like no chance. So, and this was the early 80s, so technology and medical science was not what it was now. So I definitely feel like I came out like a fighter, and
Yeah.
I have kind of not like a destiny, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm meant to do great things because I was able to live through so much and go through those challenges of being a preemie and dealing with all those health issues and all that stuff. So that was the start of me. And from there, I've lived all over the United States. My parents were self employed musicians. So we lived all over the southeast of the United States. I always joke with people when they say, "Where are you from?" I'm like, I don't have a hometown. I don't, I've lived so many places that I don't feel like I really can claim one place. So I'm from all over. And so I grew up a bunch of different places. My parents were self employed. I definitely had a very non traditional childhood just because we lived so many different places. I was homeschooled some. I, kind of got to learn what I wanted to learn, and we traveled a lot. And, by the time I was 12, I had been to like 3 different countries, and, just I did not have a normal childhood, and I feel like that definitely influenced how I see the world and why it felt okay to become an entrepreneur and to try something different just because my parents were always trying things that were different.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
So it was almost like it was normal for you to constantly change then. So what was it like in terms of like schools and it's school and college in the US, isn't it? So what was it like in terms of your education when you decided to shift from homeschooling?
Well, I went back and forth between both, but I did go to high school completely in a normal school, and it was great. I loved it. I was nerdy, like really good at school and nerdy, and definitely an overachiever. And I was very creative. I did theater, I did, choir and music. And so I loved high school. But that overachiever, perfectionist side of me definitely it came crashing down because so my parents didn't go to college. So I was the first person in my family to go to college.
Right?
Um, And there was a lot of immense pressure on me to do well because I had done so, so well in high school.
Mm.
Straight A's, just overachiever, doing really well on things. And so I went to college. I was excited for the freedom of being in college. But when I think about it now, like 18 is so young to like go off on your own and and go from like all these rules in a normal school to being on your own, living on your own, having to make your own schedule. And I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the craziness of just college going from one extreme to another. And I really had like a dark time. Like I was extremely depressed, extremely just yeah, it was not good. I ended up failing my freshman year of college because I just couldn't get out of that depression. And now that I know the way I am, I definitely dealt with depression most of my life and anxiety, but I had never gotten treatment for it. So it was hard to see myself fail so spectacularly and not have anybody say, "It's okay, let me get you help," right away.
Yeah, yeah. What was the transition like from having the rules and the constraints that might have helped you or not? I mean, you could probably elaborate on that yourself, Melody. But what was it like to go from having the constraints and the rules of college to then starting your own business and almost like is making your own rules and setting your own
Yeah.
schedule? What was the transition like?
Well, I mean, between like college and then I had normal jobs after college that were terrible, but I actually find now that I'm working for myself that I am a little bit more self-disciplined and I actually get more done on my own in my own office rather than a regular office mostly because it's just me and I don't have to have other people bothering me, other people nagging me or telling me what I need to get done. I have to do it myself, which is also on the flip side hard because
Hmm.
I beat myself up for not getting enough done or not dealing with enough clients or it's that perfectionism again telling me like you're not good enough or you haven't done enough. So I have to constantly kind of feed myself positive self messages instead of negative ones to counteract that.
Right, yeah, yeah. So for someone else then, so this is something that I would imagine that there could be some people out there that listen to this that have also experienced. So do you have any strategies for trying to put yourself in a more positive place? So when depression strikes, which I'm sure it probably still does for yourself and maybe a lot of the listeners as well, have you got anything that can help put you in a more positive place?
I have in the past year really been learning to utilize mindset journaling and affirmations. I do that every day. I wake up. It's non-negotiable for me to wake up and journal as soon as I get up. I have between 20 and 100 affirmations that I write out throughout the day. I meditate, and I really try to surround myself with positive people, positive things, just trying to send out good energy into the world, which sounds really hippie and like BS, but it actually really makes a huge difference. Just putting that intention out into the world and saying, I am going to have a great day. I am enough. I am worthy. I am amazing at what I do.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, for someone listening to this, so I'm going to play a little bit the role of the skeptic now, Melody. So you'll have to
Yeah.
forgive if it comes across a little bit too negative. But
Yeah.
what would you say to someone that might see it as more of almost like trying to delude yourself into becoming positive? What would you say to that?
Well, I would say, yeah, you can see it that way, but if it helps you, it helps you. Because, I mean, I've talked to therapists before that say, like, yes, you do have to put yourself in a positive state of mind to make a change. Um, it's, yeah, it does sound like you kind of are deluding yourself, but if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, how are you going to get out of those negative spaces?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's almost like, because from my understanding of how we work as people, we can't think two things at once. We have like
right,
one thought at a time, one feeling at a time, and it's like it's not about feeling positive. It's about the flip side. It's about not feeling negative. You know, is
right.
it?
It's about, yeah, it's about getting rid of those negative messages and those blocks that are keeping you from whatever you're trying to achieve or do.
Yeah. So you mentioned how you've got quite a list of things that you do. So from journaling and affirmations to meditating and all of those kinds of things, it sort of leads me to think, well, you must have an element of routine in the morning and maybe even a routine in the evening. Would that be right in saying that?
Yes, totally.
So
Um,
what's your morning routine and what's your evening routine if you have one?
yeah, in the morning I get up and have a cup of coffee or tea, and I immediately journal. And I also have another journal I keep that's full of things I want to achieve. It's almost like a goal list, but I call it a manifestation list, which again sounds like really woo woo and spiritually, um, but yeah, it's just things I want to achieve that month, and then I write out my affirmations. I use journaling prompts from a mindset journaling group I'm in, also to help me kind of dig deeper into, say, my big vision or what I want to achieve, or, whatever the prompt brings up. Um, and then once I've done all that, I usually meditate or pull like a daily oracle card or something just to kind of give me like an intention or an affirmation for the day. Um, and then I will go about my day and, take care of my dogs, uh, have breakfast, and then start my day. Um,
All right. So what about the evening then? So do you have anything that helps you wind down or not?
in the evening, I usually spend 30 minutes to an hour just reading. I love reading. I'm a huge nerd. So I will read something either, for pleasure or business, whatever book I'm reading at the time. And then I will, in the evening, write down affirmations again in my journal. And then I write down what I did great that day and what I'm grateful for.
Hmm.
And then that's how I wind down. So,
All right.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So we often hear, or at least I often hear, that sleep tends to be quite important in terms of to do with memory and helping us recover and all of
Mhm.
those things. So what would your thoughts be on doing things around sleep? So morning and evening seems to be quite
Mhm.
a straightforward time to do those kinds of things. Have you noticed a difference in terms of when you do those things and what your thoughts and feelings are before and after you go to sleep?
Um, I definitely feel like it has helped my sleep since I've been doing that for sure. I did used to have like insomnia,
Mm,
um, which was definitely attributed to anxiety. Um, yeah, I think it in the morning it helps me wake up. It helps me have a clearer memory. It helps me. I feel like it's even helped me remember my dreams a little bit more vividly. I don't know if that's actually true, but I feel like it
ah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Um, And yeah, it definitely helps me get in a relaxed state of mind and sleep deeper, having my mind kind of clear and blank and focused on positive things when I go to sleep. Rather than, as somebody with anxiety, rather than playing those negative messages again over and over and over again, which is what I used to do, is I wouldn't be able to sleep because I would just think, oh, I'm doing this wrong, or I've got this meeting that I'm nervous about, or I don't have enough money, or, whatever the anxiety trigger was.
Right. So from what you've told me there, Melody, it's almost like you get the thoughts on paper, so to speak, whether they be positive or negative or whatever. But then
Mhm.
after that, you then fill it with the more positive side of things. Is that the kind of
Yes,
process that you put yourself through?
totally. Yeah, I tend to write down all the negative things and then look at those and try to turn them into positives. So one of the things I struggled with the past year is saying I am not enough or I am not worthy of success. And so I've turned that into I am enough. I am enough for my clients. I am worthy of success. And I try to repeat those and play those positive messages rather than the negative messages that was blocking me.
Okay. So you mentioned in the bio that you specialize in Facebook ads for people that run their own businesses and things. So how did you get into that? What was the moments or the instances that led up to you to actually trying to get yourself into that?
So, how I got into working for myself in digital marketing started before I quit my corporate job. I had a really good friend from college who decided to create her own organic skincare and makeup line, and she knew nothing about marketing. I had a background in marketing, so I said, "Hey, I will help you with your marketing for free, just as a fun little side hustle."
Hmm.
And I started doing that for a long time, and I really loved it. And I realized, hey, I'm actually really good at this. And so that kind of led into me learning. This is, years ago when Facebook ads first came out. I started dabbling in that and realizing, like, hey, you can get really good results with these. And it's nothing compared to it is now. Like, now it's a total game changer. But back then it was pretty rudimentary. But um, yeah, so I started with that. For her, I did Facebook ads, I did blog posts, I did social media content creation, I did influencer outreach, all kinds of stuff. And it was really fun. And that kind of propelled me into saying, hey, I need to do this full time for myself. So the past few years, I've been doing everything for people. I'd
Right.
say I wore way too many hats. Like, I was, again, doing content creation, social media management, digital strategy, creating graphics, influencer outreach, like everything. It was too much. So finally this year I said, no, enough is enough. I'm just going to focus on the two things I enjoy doing the most, which are Facebook ads and digital strategy. I love working with entrepreneurs who either know what they want out of their digital strategy, but don't have time to do it, which that's a lot of my clients, or brand new entrepreneurs who are totally overwhelmed by digital strategy and Facebook ads and don't even understand the power of them. So I kind of work with both of those people on the flip side. So people at the top and people at the beginning, which I have a heart for both of them because I can see both sides from where I am now.
So do you use your ability to understand what the clients are going through to your advantage in terms of helping them with the strategies?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I love showing people, especially the new entrepreneurs, like where they can be and that it doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be expensive if they don't want it to be. Yes, you can spend thousands of dollars to get great conversions and great, leads, but you also can get really good results with like $50. And a lot of people don't know that, and they don't take the time to learn that, or they just freak out because they're like, oh, it's another piece of technology I have to learn.
Right. So if someone listening to this might have they might have the idea that you need to put a lot of money into it, what would you say to those people?
You really don't. I tell this to my clients all the time. It really is all about testing. So split testing. So making sure you test the copy, the images, the headlines, the audiences. And you can do that with just a little bit of money. And then once you figure out the golden ticket, the person, the audience, the image, everything that converts the best, you can create whatever budget you want. Yes, I think it's great to spend like $100 or $200 at least to get really good results, but that may not be in everybody's budget. So you can start out with a small amount and just see how it goes as long as you're testing the right elements.
What sort of things would you say were the right elements then? So we often talk about things like is it a video, is it a picture, is it just text? But how far does the testing need to go in order to optimize the ads?
I usually start by creating and testing audiences for my clients. So I give them a questionnaire with, who their ideal client is, what does that look like, where do they shop, where do they eat, like what kind of money do they make, and I create a bunch of saved audiences, and then we test those with images, video, whatever they want to advertise. Some of them have lead pages, some of them have, blog posts. It depends client to client for sure. But I will test the audiences against if a video is doing well, or if an image is doing well, or if it's all the same image and a specific call to action is going to do better on that one. It depends client to client.
Okay. Are there any common themes then? Is there anything that you've noticed with working with a lot of people that do run their own businesses there, where you sort of say, well, this is always going to work better than that because of X, Y, and Z? Did you have any of those for us?
I do think videos are doing really well right now. Facebook is giving a ton of space in their algorithm for video views. So either Facebook Live or a pre-recorded video that's a small, like 30-second ad, that is doing incredibly well. There are so many changes coming with Facebook that I tell my clients this now. It's not a matter of if you should do Facebook ads, it's when are you going to do Facebook ads? Because Facebook is ever changing, and yeah, you need to get in on this before it gets crazy expensive or too crowded for your ad to really be seen.
All right, so it's almost like the more popular it becomes, it gets even harder for you to stand out.
Yeah, it's kind of the way it is like right now with like Google ads. Like Google ads are pretty expensive. And there's so many of them that it's harder to stand out now. But I think that with the changes that Facebook is doing, you need to have a strategic approach, and you need to be creative. So try doing, video, I've seen some audio ads, like just all kinds of stuff. You can try some crazy stuff and see what happens and see if it resonates with your client and your audiences to get the conversions that you want.
All right. So what would you say was the most important thing then? So you mentioned quite a bit in terms of video or audio or text or whatever the case is, but then you mentioned that you need to find something that vibes with your audience, because obviously some people might like to read one particular ad more than the other or whatever the case is. How important is knowing your audience to making sure that the ads are effective?
Oh, it's, I would say, one of the most important things. 100%. Like I said, when I first start working with clients, I really go through and have them figure out exactly what their ideal client looks like so we can find them, because the targeting on Facebook ads is so intense that you really can get down to what car they drive, where they live, how much they make, where they shop, what they eat. It's insane how detailed and a little scary how detailed Facebook can get into your personal life, but you basically want an ad that looks native to your ideal client or customer's timeline. So you want something that makes them say, this ad is just for me. Or maybe they don't even realize it's an ad because it's so well done. And it seems like your friend posted it, not some business.
Ah, okay. I mean, it's interesting when you say that it can get really, really targeted. It means that, at least from what you've told me there, that it stands to reason then that you should probably do a lot of work before you even decide to run the ad on the types of people that you want to see the ad.
Yes.
If it can make a big difference between, say, putting like Ford in the cars or then putting Mercedes in the cars would yield different. Just those two words there would yield very different results. And you mentioned you mentioned native as well. So for someone that has no idea what that means, would you be able to explain what native means to us?
Sure. So native means it would look like something that would just be on a normal Facebook page. So the best way I have to explain this is I have found with a lot of my clients that when we've tested, say, a stock photo versus a selfie or just like a regular picture from your phone, the pictures from your phone have done better on Facebook in an ad than a stock photo because it looks like it's natural and not forced, and it's just natural on your timeline on your Facebook page, like you would see your friend post.
Okay, so it stands to so just from what you said there, then it's almost like the more your ads can look like normal posts from your friends, the
Yes.
more likely it is that people will see it, which is quite interesting because there's so many people that have a great big like almost like huge designs and stock photos, and you make sure that the lighting's just right for the video and all of those kinds of things. But what you're sort of saying is, well, it'd be better if it just looked like another post.
Yes. Well, you always want it to look professional, but just don't, I don't know. I follow so many entrepreneurs, big, big people, and I feel like sometimes their marketing is just so slick that it just looks almost scammy a little bit, and it doesn't look just, I don't know, it doesn't look inviting. So I'm
Mm.
always all about making things look inviting and friendly and, whatever message you're trying to send to your ideal client, that's what you want to come across in your posts and your ads. So if you are a life coach dealing with female entrepreneurs who are dealing with life transitions, then you want to make sure you are open and honest and friendly and that your face, since you're selling yourself, is the one they see, not a stock photo or not a stock video of other people. They want to see your face so they can relate to you.
Ah, right, okay. No, it's interesting as well because when you say that the Facebook changes quite a bit as well, it's almost like the more the platforms change, the more your ads have to change with it. Would that be right in saying that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think about the ads that I ran, like 6 years ago versus now. It's totally different. It's literally there's a change every week. Sometimes not for the better. They just like to mess with things in the settings all the time. But yeah, there are changes every week, and I think that appeals to my nerdy side is figuring out like, okay, they made this change. How do I deal with that?
Mm. Do you have any do's and don'ts for Facebook ads? So let's try and reduce it to say three key things to try and do for Facebook ads, and then three things to avoid when it comes to Facebook ads. What would
Sure.
your three do's and three don'ts be?
For dues, definitely test all of your different targeting, test your audiences, test your headlines, test every element. And right now, Facebook just added a new way to do a split test. So you used to have to duplicate ad sets to split test, but now you can do a split test directly in Facebook Ads Manager, which is so much easier, so much less clunky, and it will actually pick the winning set for you. So it'll tell you when your test is over, this one won, and this is why it won, because it had the best clicks or the best cost per click or the best audience, or whatever variable you were testing. So that is my number one tip, is testing the heck out of your ads, because a lot of people will just throw something up on Facebook and say, I didn't get any conversions. Well, you didn't get conversions because you didn't test. So that would be the first one.
Number two?
Number two would be make sure your images are really good. Again, doesn't have to be a stock photo. It can be a selfie, but make sure you have good lighting. Make sure it looks professional, but also friendly and like it would be on your friend's Facebook page. So kind of the mix of professional and casual, depending on what you're trying to sell. Of course, if it's a brick and mortar business, maybe not. But for coaches and that kind of thing, just make sure it's a mix of professional and friendly and warm. And the third, let me think. What is my other good tip? Let me see here. The third one would probably be know your audience, like we talked about before. Just make sure you spend a lot of time figuring out who your ideal client is, what your end goal for your ads are, a realistic end goal. Don't say, I want 100,000 people to go to my blog tomorrow. That's not realistic. That's not magic. We're not magic. Facebook takes time and work, but you can get great results. It's not a magical thing. I told somebody one time, I was like, I'm not Harry Potter. Like, I can't make you have millions of leads overnight. I'm sorry. So it really takes time to test your audiences and make sure that you know in and out who you're trying to attract and what your motivation is in attracting them and why they should specifically use you or your services or your product.
Okay, so we're on three things to avoid doing now.
The first one I would say to definitely avoid would be boosting posts. Please stop boosting posts. It is a waste of time and money. Do not do it. No. 100%.
Okay, what's your strong reason for that then? So someone's listening to this and a little bit, I wouldn't say taken back by that, but they'll be like, okay, well, why is that? We want to try and answer questions that people might have. So why shouldn't we boost posts?
Don't boost posts because you cannot target as much as you can. So here's the thing. You can do a similar type of campaign in Facebook Ads Manager. It's called an engagement campaign. And in there, you can do much more intense targeting. And you can try different audiences. You can split test, all that. But if you go through and just push that little button that says boost, you're not going to get those features. And you're not going to be able to control the variables as much as you can in Facebook Ads Manager. So yes, it's fine to try to up the engagement on your posts, but I don't feel like they yield as good of results as, say, doing a traffic ad, where yes, people are still going to see that, but hopefully they're going to click over to your podcast or your blog posts or your lead page or whatever, instead of just trying to get likes or hearts or, whatever.
Okay. So what's your second thing to avoid?
Second thing to avoid would be just slapping up an ad up there without proofing it. I see so many Facebook ads where people have terrible grammar and terrible spelling mistakes and just poorly sized images. Just really make sure that you are carefully looking through and reading through and designing your ads so that they look like what you're trying to represent, unless you're trying to make a point about that. But yeah, I've just seen so many poorly done ads that I'm like, really? Who put this up here? Like, did you even proof this? And then the third one would be make sure, it's kind of in the same vein, but just make sure you have the proper sized images. So again, I've seen a lot of poorly sized images on ads, and they don't look good. They look blurry. So don't put blurry pictures up on your ads. That sounds simple, but a lot of people do that.
Okay. All right, yeah. Thanks for sharing those. That sparked a couple of the questions from me, and
Sure.
the first one is it possible to be too targeted, so too specific with the people that you're working with? So we mentioned like just cars and things before. I mean, someone could be listening to this going, what, we really need to go that specific? So is it possible to be too specific and too tailored with your ad targeting?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to get that specific. You can, and that's the cool thing, is that you can get that specific, but yeah, it really depends on your goal and the outcome that you want from your campaigns. So you can go broad. It's just sometimes people won't feel like that ad is directly for them if you don't really target down. So yeah, you can be too broad, but it depends on your outcome that you want.
Okay. Well, what if the ad then was to sell something? So we're looking at trying to sell almost directly from the ad. So people would click the ad to go to a page or a website or whatever the case is, and the intention is to buy something as a result of clicking on the ad. So what would your suggestions be around targeting in terms of, can you be too specific or can't you be too specific in terms of actually trying to sell from the ad?
For a product like that, I would probably create a carousel ad where it shows the products and it has a direct link to the product. And then in the targeting, it would be, say, if it appeals to both men and women, I would say men and women between whatever age group. And then I would put the demographics of, their online shoppers, they maybe some of your competitors' stores in there. So you can do broadly for products, but make sure that they're online shoppers or shoppers of whatever type of product you're selling, as well as, maybe like mobile shoppers. You can put in, say, iPhone, Android, that kind of thing. So it's not super, niche down, but it's still going to be getting the right people to your products.
Right. Okay. So it's almost like, as long as you have certain key parts to the targeting, then it's almost like it's hard to explain. Like the other stuff's almost like the nice things to have, so to speak.
Yes.
So you get certain things nailed down to make sure that you're showing them to the right people, but then the other things are like, okay, it'd be nice if we had people that X, Y, and Z.
Yes,
Okay,
totally.
all right, cool. How about mobile then? So you mentioned mobile. Is there anything specific that in terms of the difference between a desktop and a mobile Facebook ad?
Mobile is actually becoming a dominant part of Facebook ads. I think because more and more people are using Facebook from their phones or their tablets these days. So I have found in my testing that actually mobile ads are doing a lot better than desktop ads as people move away from the laptops and all that. Um, so again, I would say test for your product or your services or whatever to see which one does better for your audience. But if it seems that mobile is doing better, be sure that your images look good on mobile and your wording looks good on mobile, because sometimes Facebook will cut off the copy in a really, really long ad for mobile. So make sure the most important things you have to say that are going to grab your client or your customer are above that page break and in your headline so people see it. So if I'm just scrolling through my phone and I see, you know, a $199 course about mindfulness, and I go, oh, I want that because I saw that in the headline or I saw that in the very top part of the copy without having to click that more button.
Okay, yes. So it's almost like the testing element seems to be quite a big thing. You know, from everything that we've spoken about, it's like you really, really do have to test everything just to make sure that everything fits the audience that you have. But
Yes.
how often do we make changes? So you can see people that might make changes several times a day. See people that might do it every week, every month. Is there a guide maybe for how soon you should change or alter the ad? Because I guess it might take a certain amount of time for the ad to actually show any form of results in the first place. But then if you keep
Yes.
changing, then you're never really going to know. So is there an optimum time to make these adjustments, and how long before you change again?
For a split test, Facebook recommends a minimum of 3 days to see the best results. I usually give it about 7 days. If, you know, occasionally Facebook will say, hey, this age group is slightly lower for cost per click. Do you want to change it? And I'll keep an idea of that, but I don't want to change that element until the 7 days is over. So I can see a good marker of what's doing well and what changes I need to make. So once I have an idea of that for my clients, I will go in and make changes daily if they want, but usually weekly. I feel like daily changes is kind of crazy unless you really have a very specific timeline. Say if you're doing like an early bird special on a course or something, and you only have a 24-hour period. If you see that something isn't working within that 24-hour period, you need to go ahead and change that.
All right, so it's almost like the deadline that you've got makes a difference as to how often that you would
Yes.
test.
Yes, definitely.
All right, okay, all right. No, it's good to make a note of that for people that are listening, because some people might do like tests or like change things every couple of days, but the ad might be running for say 2 or 3 months. So you've got plenty of time to make your adjustments to see if each change would have an impact on the ad at all, and then you might not need to change, or you might need to change. So I guess yeah, it's having that knowledge of, okay, well, if your ad's running for a couple of months, then you should probably be a little bit more strategic in the way that you change, because you might end up changing them back again if it doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever had that incident where you've made a change for someone and realised it didn't work and had to change it back again?
Um, yes, kind of. I'm trying to think of exactly. It's more that I've had clients that don't know exactly what they want and they keep wanting to change it back. Um, and again, they're the client. Like, yes, I can give them the tools and I can offer my opinion, but if they want a very specific goal or a very specific product and it's not doing the best, but that's what they feel should be in the ad, that's what we're going to go with. It's their money, it's their time, it's their service or product.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there's this definite idea that you need to be quite clear on what you actually want and what the intention is before you start to make changes. Because I guess you'd probably make your decisions and you try and filter it through the intention that you have for the app. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. So we are coming close to the end now. So we've gone through quite a lot. Are there any parts of Facebook ads that we haven't covered that you want to cover? So because we're near the end, I don't want to leave any stone unturned, Melody. So do you have anything that maybe we haven't covered? Do you have any insider tips or pro tips? You can pull the curtain back if you want to. It's entirely up to you. Um, so yeah, what parting piece of guidance would you be prepared to give our listeners before we finish?
Yeah, so if you're just starting out with Facebook ads, I highly recommend that you make sure you have the Facebook Pixel installed on your landing pages and on your website. This is kind of like the Google Pixel that helps track analytics, but it's for Facebook. It'll help you remarket your ads to people who may have gone to your website. It'll help you track conversions. It really helps you get a little bit more nitty gritty, down and dirty, um, compared to just a regular ad. A lot of people are very scared of the Facebook Pixel because it seems very complicated. It's all this code, but it really is pretty simple once you do some research and figure it out, and just all you have to do is put it on your website and then it kind of does its thing. Um, so yeah, that's one thing I tell a lot of my clients. I say, okay, if you don't know how to do that, I can do that for you, but you need to have that so you can really track what you're doing and know if what you're doing is actually working.
Okay, cool. So we are getting close to the end now. You mentioned that you're a little bit of a nerd, Melody, and you enjoy a good read. So do you have any
Yep.
books that you'd recommend for us?
Um, as far as business books, I just started reading The Miracle Morning about creating a habit in the morning to get up earlier. And so it kind of goes in the same vein of what I already do, but I don't always get up at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm really trying to implement that to start my day even earlier and on a more positive path. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, just before we go, if someone listening would like to find out a bit more about you and what you do, now is your chance to share things like websites or offers or Facebook groups, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I actually am launching right now a 4-week program for female entrepreneurs and business owners who want to learn how to use Facebook ads and create a digital strategy for 2018. This is not for, six-figure business owners. It's more for the newer business owners that I work with sometimes who may not have the budget to work with me one-on-one, but want that experience of learning how to do a strategy, learning how to create ads that really convert well. And it's going to include videos, workbooks, a few one-on-one calls, Facebook Lives, all that. So that is booking right now. It's called the Digital Marketing Strategy Bootcamp, and I can give you a link to put in your show notes if you want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what's the link though so people can listen to it as well?
It is. Hold on, let me look at it. It's a long. It's a long link. Hold on 1 second. While I'm looking for that, I also have a website. It's swiftly-social.com. That's my company. And you can also find me on Facebook under Swiftly Social Digital Marketing.
All right, excellent.
So, yeah, the link to that program is subscribepage.com/digital marketing strategy bootcamp.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'll put the link in the description for the show. So if people are listening and they want to take advantage of that, then they have the link to grab it straight away. So hopefully people will take you up on that, because I know I've learned quite a bit from Facebook ads listening to you, Melody. So I hope others that want a little bit more or want a lot more, which is what it sounds like, then they can click on the link. All right. So before we finish, we've got one last question. And we've had answers ranging from funny to serious. So this is the moment where we blow the whole thing wide open potentially. And the question is, what would you like the world to know about you that it doesn't already know?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. What they don't already know about me. That I am ready to take over the world.
It almost reminds me of the what's that cartoon? Is it Pinky and the Brain?
Pinky and the Brain, yeah. I love Pinky and the Brain.
That's cool. All right, Melody, well, thanks for sharing your insights on the show. Very grateful that you managed to carve out the time, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
All right, thank you so much.